Okay, so there's some significant consequences to chronic opiate use. Now, again, think about what we've been describing from drug to drug. If you are exposed to more of a substance and more rapidly, you are more likely to develop sort of dependence and abuse the substance. So with alcohol, if you don't really feel the effects of the alcohol, you expose yourself to more alcohol, and you're more likely, to become dependent on alcohol. The same is true with these opiate drugs. The more that you take and the faster it's delivered, like let's say heroin injected into the bloodstream, the more likely you are to develop dependence and abuse the substance. So OxyContin, for example, is an opiate pill that was designed to slowly release opiate into the bloodstream over a period of time. But those who become dependent upon the substance tend to chew or break it down or chop it up so that it delivers a much greater dose much more quickly, and that significantly increases the liability for dependence and abuse. So some of the consequences of chronic opiate use include the development of tolerance. You need more of the substance to produce the same effect, right? This is selective. It's quite rapid to the analgesic or the pain reduction effect. So while if you suffer from chronic pain and you take a certain dose of morphine, for example, about a week later you might need to up that dose, and a little bit later you need to up that dose again. It's slow though to the effects on constipation and those pinpoint pupils. So as you continue to take more and more of the drug because you need more of an analgesic effect, or want to maintain the same analgesic effect, your pinpoint pupils will stay pinpoint, no matter what. Physical dependence. People experience reduced dopamine release with continued use, and withdrawal effects that can be quite significant and unpleasant. Since opiates are actually CNS depressants, they tend to inhibit activity, prevent the transmission of pain information, for example, block and inhibit. Abstinence, or not using it, produces excitation. So people report pain, dysphoria, restlessness. It's almost the opposite of what the drug is able to typically, or at least initially produce. And then abuse and addiction or dependence. This is a big issue because it's, these are drugs that are administered, for example, to patients who are suffering from terrible pain, after an operation, or when they're suffering from cancer or other terminal illnesses, or all other sort of chronic diseases that produce a great deal of pain. And abuse and dependence is actually not that common in patients who receive the drugs for chronic pain and use them as prescribed. It's more common in recreational users, or people who take the drugs in a completely off-label way, like chewing an OxyContin tablet, for example, and delivering a much greater dose.